Hello guys, welcome back. So in this video tutorial we are going to start work on the stories. So let's just start work on that. Come here to the layout and right click on the layout and new layout resource file, and the name of our this layout will be story underscore item. Story underscore item. Now this will be the layout we will design for the displaying the stories, okay. And also we will add now another create another layout resource file for adding the stories. So anyways, let's just complete this first. So it will be of 60 dp and the height will be wrap content, and margin from the start will be 10 dp. And now the next thing is to add the circle image view for displaying the profile image of a user, the user who has updated the story basically. So it will be of 55 dp, same here 55 dp. Let's just close this first, and now civ border color, and let's add this. So the color will be just like in Instagram, you guys see the red color. If you have not seen the story of your friend, then it appears a round circle basically. So we have to design like that anyway. So now let's just add that color F23B5A. civ border width 3dp. Let's add a source to it so that we can see how it appears. Source is by the name profile. Here you can see it just like that. Instead of 2dp 3dp, let's just add 2dp, and gravity for the layout will be center, margin from the top 5 dp, and let's give id to this. So the id will be story underscore image. So this circle image view we will display in case if the story has not been seen by an online user, okay. And now we will add another one, that is one. Let's say you view a story, then we have to remove this red kind of thing from it. So first of all, let's just change this color to AF, okay, just like this gray one, okay. That is the image has been seen. Now we can give it name as story image underscore scene, story image scene. And just for the just to see if it is at the right place, let me just write here gone, and here you can see it will appear at the same place. By the way, we will accept this through Kotlin programming language, okay. For code, remove this visibility from here, and this layout, this circle image view will be invisible by default. Now the last thing is to display the username. So for that, well, we need to add a text view which will be wrap content. Let's close this, and now the id for this will be story username, and now let's add text. So it will appear like this. Gravity will be center, it will be layout gravity. You can see it now. And by the way, the max line for this will be 1, okay. That is, we will not exceed like this, that is 1 line and 2 line. It is not right. So max line will be 1, and the color basically for the text color will be color primary dark. That's it. Now let's just create our second layout. So layout, new layout resource file. The name of this will be add underscore story underscore item. Let's just come here quickly. So the width for this will be also 60 dp, and the height will be ref content, and margin start 10 dp will be the margin start. And let's quickly add a relative layout here, which will be 50 dp and 50 dp. The layout gravity will be center. Margin from top will be 5 dp. And now in here inside this relative layout we need to add basically just like the way we did here for the seen and unseen. Okay, just copy these two circle image views, come back to the head story and paste that here, and it will be width will be 45, and also here change it to 45. Remove this to also first of all let's just change the id for this. So let's give it the same idea. I mean, we will just display the image here and we will not add any event on that, that is any click event on it, because in this second image view we are going to add the add button, which is the plus icon. On that icon, when a user click, we will allow a user to add a story or see his own stories. So one thing which we need to do is remove this layout gravity, and second one, so with height, so and let's give it as align parent top to true, and the center horizontal to true, and that's it. Now come here to the second circle image view, and first of all here we have to add icon add, and which you can see here, and it will be of 20 dp and also 20 dp. So remove this thing gone from here and also these two, and here we can say align parent bottom to true, align parent and to true. It will appear like this. Here you can see it. Now let's just add some background to it. So the background for it will be color white, it is starting from the Android. Okay, and Android color white, just like this. Here you can see it. And by the way, I think it is by the name. So anyways, I mean the background will be color white, and this is the result that we got here. And one thing which we need to do is to add a text view on which will basically the add story text. Also make sure to change the id for this, which is story under add, and for this text view the id will be add story underscore text, and text color will be color primary dark, and the layout gravity will be center max line 1. Let's add text here, which will be add story. Since we will be displaying these layouts on our home fragment, so for that we have to go to our home fragment.xml file first, and we have to add another recycler view. So as you can see, this is our recycler view, and we will be using two recycler views, so we have to use the nested scroll view. So let's just add this nested scroll view. It will be match parent ref content. Let's close this, and inside this, first of all, let's just give id to this. So nested scroll view NSV, and it will be below our app bar layout. So let's just cut this from here, paste that here. just like this. Now what we're gonna do is the recycler view which we have here, okay, for displaying the post, I mean the picture of user, we will move that inside over this nested scroll view. So let's just add this here, okay, and now we need to add another recycler view for displaying the stories, okay, and also to access our these add story and story item layout in case if there is any story available for the story item, but this will display even if there is no one story available, so that the user can add any story. So anyway, let's just we just copy paste this recycler view, and also let's just change now the id for it. So this is our for the stories, so give it id recycler view story. So match parent wrap content and match parent wrap content. So these are our two recycler views. Now what we need to do is, before doing that, I mean we have to add a linear layout, basically a vertical linear layout, so that a story will appear here, okay, and then in a vertical position the photos and all the images, I mean the second, which is basically pointing to over the second one, which is over for displaying the post, I mean the second recycler view. So let's just quickly add a linear layout, and it will be match parent wrap content, and make sure to add the orientation for this to vertical. And once you do that, let's just close this and then paste these two recycler views inside this linear layout. Now here you can see it for displaying the stories, for displaying the photos and images and all these stuffs. So make sure that you get a design like this, okay, just like you can see it here. So once you do that, the next thing is to go to the home fragment and to add this recycler view. So we have fragments, home fragment, and then here we have to come here to our on create view, and after this we can just create quickly our recycler view. So recycler view, now we have to differentiate between this, so let's give it name as recycler view story, and it is of type recycler, and let's initialize this with a null. Now just for the time saving, I'm going to copy and paste that here, but we have to do these changes carefully, okay. Make sure to change this recycler view with recycler view story view dot find view by dr dot id dot, and the id for our this one id is recycler view story. So make sure to do these changes. And the next thing is linear layout manager, let's give it name 2, linear layout manager 2, and also linear layout context, and then make sure to do the changes here, linear layout manager 2, linear layout manager 2, and then also here. Now we have to create another adapter for our stories, okay, because our stories will have many features like the add story scene and the right click and I mean the left click right click, on which we can go if a user click on the left right click, I mean on the left side of mobile phone, then we will display basically the previous activity, and if the user click on the right side, I mean on the phone, just like you guys see in Instagram, okay. So we will have a complex features there and events. So for that we will need basically an adapter, so we can write a clean code, okay. So anyways, for that we will be needing a list, I mean basically that adapter that we will create. Now we have to pass just like we do for the other things, that is for the images and for the comments, etc. Just like we created an adapter, we will do the same here for the stories. So let's just create, first of all, for that we have to create a file by the name, right click on adapter, new, and let's just give it name as, I mean this one, Kotlin file class. First of all, let's give it name as story adapter, and then click OK. So this is our story adapter, and now come back, let's just quickly add this thing here, story adapter, it will be of type story adapter, initialize it with null, and also it will receive two parameters. One is the context and the second is the list, in which we will retrieve all the stories here on our home fragment that we will pass now to our story adapter. So let's just complete. Now please carefully define this, use the same variables name, because we will be using the data by these same names. Okay, so make sure to use the same name. Image URL, the image that we will store in the database for the stories, basically story image. Initialize this with a null, and the time start, at which time, basically that start, since you know that we will do that for 24 hours. After 24 hours that will be deleted automatically. So let's give it name as time start, type long, and we have to initialize this with a 0. Let's just copy paste that here, and then times end, time end long equals to 0. Then we have to see story id. And let me repeat this again for you guys. Please use the same spellings, okay, because we will be using the data by the same names in the database. So if you use other, then maybe you get confused and your app will crash in that situation. Initialize this with null. So that's it. Now let's just create a constructor. No parameters, which means a default constructor, then constructor with parameters. Select all, click OK, just like this. And then we have to define the setter and getter for it. So for the time saving, I'm going to the post, and from here I'm going to first copy this get first and come back to the story and paste that here. And now we have our first one, which is image URL. So we can say get image URL string type, and it will return the image URL. Now also let's define the getter for all the other variables. So we have the second one, okay, 1 2 3 4, paste it 4 times. Then we have the get time start, which is of boolean type, sorry, long type, not boolean. If I show you here, you can see it. And then the get time end, okay, it is also long type. And make sure to do the changes here also. Okay, for the time start we have variable time start, for the time end we have a variable by the name time end, and then we have the second class, which is get story id. So let's change this to get story id and have the variable story id. Then the last one is the get user id. Get user id and pass the variable, which is by name user id. That's it. And now we have to set the setters. So for that, let's come here to the post and copy this any set function from here, and we will change it over. Let's come here, come back to the story, and then paste that here 5 times, since we have 5 variables. And now let's just modify it. So we have set image URL, and it is of type string. Okay, image URL, and then we have the set time start. So we have a variable time start long. Time start, time start, and then the set time end. So time and time end. And then we have the set story ID. So story ID, story ID, story ID, and then the set user ID, user ID. That's it. Now come back to the story adapter and pass this story model class to it, which is this one. Okay, story model class. Add a colon here, and then in the next see recycler view dot add dot. In here we have to pass our view holder that we will create now. Let's come here to the post adapter. From here we have to copy something. Copy this inner class from the post adapter. Just copy this one and come back to the story adapter. So instead of writing it, let's just paste it here, and then we have to modify it. So it will be inner class view holder. So first of all, we have our story item. Okay, let's add a comment. Now you will also learn now that is how to add two layouts. Okay, here you can see one is the story item and add story item. How to add and access two items, or you can say how to use two resources on a one single Kotlin file. You will learn that also in this video tutorial. So anyways, come back to the story adapter and let's give it name as story item. And on the story item we have two things. If you see, image and that name. So let's just remove this. So we have an image view there, so remove these things. So we have an image view which is basically for the story scene. Let's give it name as story image scene, and it is of type image. Let's initialize this with a null, and then we have a text view which is for displaying the username. Story username text view. Also we have, and by the way, this circle image view. Okay, so make sure to change this to circle image view. And one thing is we have two circle image view. One is the story image, the other one is story image scene. So let's just add another circle image view quickly, and this is our story image circle image view. So let's just first add this and then we can move to the others. So we have, let's just copy paste this quickly. First of all, remove all of these others that we do not need, and now make sure to change the IDs for it. So for the story image scene, let's just story image scene, we have the same ID which is story image scene, by the way, and story image scene, and then we have other one, this one, which is story image. Copy, paste that here. And for the story username we have ID story username. So story username, this is all about our this story item layout. Now we have to add another layout which is our add story. So add story item layout. Okay, Now from there we will access two things, and that is our circle image view for displaying the image of a user, and the add button on which we will basically set an event which is a click event. So I'm going to copy this and let's just change the name for it. So for the text we have add story text, and we have a circle image view for the story underscore plus underscore btn, which is an image view basically, not a circle image view. But anyways, let me tell you one thing. Even if you change this to circle image view, it will work, okay? Because both types, both represent an image view. Even if it is circular or not circular, it will not crash your app, okay? So this is just the thing which I wanted to say. Anyways, let's just cast this quickly. So just copy any two from here, paste that here, remove their IDs. We have story plus btn, then we have add story text. So for the story plus button we have a ID which is story add. So add the ID here, story add, and then we have text which is add story text. So since you know that we have two layout, we are accessing two layouts on our this adapter. Now we have to, add a get item view type built-in function, which will, on the basis of which we can basically get the ID of story item and add story item files, okay, resource file, and then on the basis of which we can display it. So for that, what we're gonna do is let's just quickly add that get item view type, this one. Remove the return type for it, and here we need to add a condition if, which is int position, okay? You can change this variable to I or anything you want, okay? So if the position, which basically represent the position of the story item and air story item resource, okay, it will represent that. So if the position becomes equals to 0, then return 0, otherwise it will return 1 also. Now let me tell you, at the 0th position we have this story item, okay? If there is any story available, then it will represent this one also at the side, just like you guys see your friends stories, okay? But in case if any story is not available from your friends, then it will represent this layout whose index is 1, okay? The index of this one is 0, and the index of this add story, which will represent this, okay, here your profile picture, then this add icon and add story text, which is basically, that will be available always, even if this first one is not available. If there is no story available from your friend, then add story resource, or you can say design, will be there, which is this one, on which a user will click and add his own story, upload his own stories. So I hope you understand the whole idea. Now once you do that, let's just come here quickly, and here we have to pass the view holder. By the way, this is on our story adapter dot view holder. Now once it is done, you can just click here, okay, click here, and when this red will appear, anyways it is not appearing, so anyways let's just add that quick. So you know that we have a built-in function which is on create view holder, on which basically we access our these two layouts, remove the comment from this one, and here let's just quickly add our access our these two layouts. And for the time saving, I'm going to the story adapter. From here I'm going to just copy this code that we will modify it according to our need here. So just paste that here, and first of all, well, view context add story item return view holder view. So as you know that here we are accessing two items, basically two layouts, which is the story item and story, and I also explain the whole story how it will works. So we need to add on the basis of our get this this get item view type, which returns the scene story is story item layout and the add story item. So we have to take care of that. We have to say that if the view type, which basically represent int view type, which basically get that position, and I already told you if your friend story is available, then we have to. Now one thing which I want to clear here is that when I say that if the position is 0, return 0, okay. Now at the 0th position we are basically doing this thing, okay, which is the add story. The all the story that I explain is right. Just I by mistake I tell the index number wrong. At the 0th we have the add story, and at the story item will be 1. Anyways, just come here. If the view type become equals to 0, then at the 0 index we have to display our add story item view, okay. So just pass that, which is add story item, else we will display our other layout, which is story item. And by the way, in Kotlin we can also, it will give you some suggestions. If you want, you can change this. Here you can write return if view type equals to, then return this. So return the remove the return statement from here, else means return this, okay. We as a whole write the return here. So in Kotlin you can write the if else like this also. So once you do that, the next thing is to get item count, and here we have to return the size of our list, which is mStory dot size. And the next thing is to onBind view holder, where we can add events on our layout controllers, that is the text views, buttons, etc., and also to display our things. So since you know that we have not yet uploaded or write a backend code for uploading the stories, so we'll not write anything here for now, but yeah, in the next tutorial we will do that. But for now, let's just say, well, story equals to mStory, and pass this int position, okay, to it. Now in some cases, in your Android Studio, maybe it give by default the variable to I, okay. Then all you gonna need is just to pass this I variable here, okay. It doesn't matter whatever the variable name is. Some people just get confused, okay. So this is just the variable name. Now come back to the home fragment, and here we were about to create this where we left. Let's just complete this small story list, which will be of type list. Pass the story model class. It will be mutable list. Initialize this with a null. And now come down, and just like we did for the post list, we will do the same. Okay, it will be a little bit different. So let's just copy these 3 lines of code and paste that down here, and here we have to change it to the story list. So story list equals to array list, and then story adapter equals to context, and make sure to is an instance of our story adapter. The context is by representing by it, and then story list as array list story model class. And then we have a recycler view by the name. By the way, here we again forgot to change the recycler view name, which is recycler view story, okay, for our recycler view story. So make sure to confirm this, okay. Recycler view story, and recycler view story, layout manager 2, 2 and 2. So make sure to do this, okay, to not mix anything. So anyways, recycler view story dot adapter equals to story adapter. Now here we have to create a function, and as I told you, we have not yet upload any story, but we are going to add a story, create a function in which we will retrieve the stories from the database. Because if you do not add that function in this tutorial, then we will not get these layouts. Okay, only this layout for now, as you know that on our story, I mean home page. So we have to add that code now. Retrieve stories. So let's just create this function down below. So we can say private and retrieve stories, and we need to create a reference to the story node, I mean on which we will also add, upload our stories to the database. So, but in the next video tutorial, for now we are just retrieving so story reference, and it will be, the reference will be story, which will be our parent node for saving all the stories in it. And then we can say story reference dot add value event listener object colon value event list on data change on cancelled, and then inside the on data change, let's give this name as data snapshot, which will be of type data snapshot. First of all, let's create a variable by the name time current, which will get the time, which we will store the time, sorry. So system, to get the current time, we can say system dot current time millis. Then story list as story dot clear. We have to make sure that this, and then we have to add the stories if there is any story available in the database at this reference. Story, first one is the image URL, so we have to pass null here. Then the time start 0. Now this represents our model class, okay, where we have 5 variable. Let me just, these things, okay. If you see image URL, time start time and story ID user ID, so we have to pass, the first one is the image URL, which you are passing null, and then the time start 0, time end 0, and then the story ID, and then the user ID, which we can get using Firebase auth dot get instance dot current user dot uid. So yeah, now using for loop, we can say ID in following list. As you know that we will display only the stories from the following list, that is the people that we are following, okay, which basically represent our friends, or you can say the people whom we are following. So anyways, from the following list you will get the IDs first, so we can say word count story 0, then we can say our story for snapshot in data snapshot dot child id dot children. And if you get this red line here you can see type match, which is require string found post, so make sure to add here dot to string, okay, dot children, and inside this for loop you can say story equals to snapshot dot get class dot java, and we have to add a condition here that will check the time, so you can say time current is greater than story, dot get time start and time current is less than story dot get time end. Then we have to, if any story is expired, then obviously we will not retrieve that. So anyways, we are going to add the this count story, which is a counter that will just count that how much stories we have. So count story plus plus, if count story, if any story available, okay, so only then we can retrieve it. So if count story is greater than 0, which means that we have any story available, okay, which is not expired yet. So then we are going to add that story to our story list. Dot add story, and then you can say story adapter dot notify data set changed. Now once you write this, now let's just test the application to see if these layouts are displaying on our home screen or not. Now one thing, till the Gradle build is running, let me tell you one more thing is basically on our story adapter, when we get this get item view type, now we add this because we want to differentiate between the story item and add story item. And let me tell you again, the 0th index represent our add story item and this one index represent our story item, and on the basis of which we are getting, or you can say accessing these two views here. Okay, add story item at the 0th index and at the 1th, else means obviously other than 0, so it means one story item. So what it means basically is that when we will be displaying the stories on our home page, okay, home fragment story, just like you guys see in Instagram, on the basis of this, we will, if the story belongs to our friends, then it will appear at the side, okay, on which user will click, then we will just display that story. And in case if the user click on the add story again, let's say the user upload his own stories also, okay, and he click again on the add story, then there we will display a pop-up, or you can say a dialog, which will represent two options, okay, to view his currently uploaded story, okay, the story that he already uploaded, or if the user want to basically add another story, okay. So I hope you get the whole idea why we add this view type here and why we add these conditions here. This is, important to explain, otherwise you guys will get confused. That is why we add that. So hopefully now you understand this. So the app is running now successfully and the app stops. We have another error and it says Java language cannot be caused to model post, and it is the same problem basically where we write dot to string on the home. Okay, inside this, when we say id dot to string, because id represents a string type, which is this one, okay, and let's just remove this dot to string from here. And now for this we have to check our following list, which is mutable list in here, and this is not mutable list. Change the type of it to string, because as you know that following list contain the IDs of the users whom we are following, okay, so it must be string type. So now come down and you will see that it will automatically erase that error, okay, here you can now see it. So make sure to do these changes. So the following list is the type string. So now let's just run the application again, because hopefully you can see that the type mismatch, okay, it requires string and we have passing the post type to it, as this list represents the post. So hopefully you understand this. So once you do these changes, now our app is running again, and here we go. Here you can see it. And here you can see, we just see this ad. It is just the design issue. Let's just come here and here change the text size, because by default I think it gives 14 size, so we need to give it 12 sp. Okay, here you can see it. Now let's just run again. So the app is running now again, and here you can see it, add story, and this is incredible. So yeah, that's it for this video, and in the next video we will allow a user to click on this add icon, and we will send the user to the add story activity that we will create in the next video. We will write the backend code in Kotlin to upload the story pictures and details and the time, all these things, to the real-time database, to the Firebase database and Firebase storage. So anyways, that's it for this video, and see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.